Not too many people know about or follow what I'm saying, or necessarily have the aptitude to imagine a double cross of the sort that Brian Eno and Robert Fripp put together, where basically he had Donald Trump calling people like Vince Irene through Martin Sheen, who I met at Vince Irene's. There's other lowbrow people. That UW Dialectical Psychology and Carnegie Mellon and Pitt saying, look, the left feels this way about query, the right feel this way about query. Why don't we work together on this double cross? And in a vacuum relative to everybody else, they put me up for extermination bacon. And they've been following my writing, doing things like signal bombings and monkeypox and various things that they've done. But the idea was to keep me outside of the frame of reference that they were developing. We'll keep arguing amongst ourselves while we agree to a pox, COVID-19, the AIDS attack information. And they don't discuss that. They discuss their Cold War psychology. It's hard to say how much the fear of escalation is involved in entering into history books, my research, detective work, and investigation. But you can see when you're looking up Chomsky, Daniel Ellsberg, various other people who talk about the way that Putin legitimately um, created a cover story for himself when he did these illegitimate acts. It's legitimate that Russia would be indignant that NATO expanded after promising not to, that Russia would be um, cut out from cooperation with the West. It's also perfectly legitimate that people like Navalny and the leaders of the Ukraine Democratic Movement protest the murder of journalists and poison crimes. It's clear that both Sean Penn's faction and Vladimir Putin's faction, Yoko Ono's faction, in other words, poisoned me in the mouth as a bridge between AIDS and COVID. And they've been playing this game of saying we represent the victims when they were the ones behind the attack. And they have this parallel machinery, like the parameter in the Ukraine is like, here's the old way things like this were solved. Do you really want to see that happen? Or do you want to go along with the pox on both your houses situation? So, what I've objected is that they've gotten away with this in terms of like our media going along with it, our historians denying that it happened. And the result is there's a real scare when you strike a match to the biolabs theory, said everything's going to go up in smoke. But the better fear is that they keep doing it, right? So we have to stop them before they they engineer, you know, something unspeakable. I don't want to put ideas in their head, but that's the way they're operating. You made me twist my ankle. You made me twist my ankle. It's, up till now, it's been pseudo rational digest about global warming and stuff like that. But they were the ones behind global warming. They're doing $6 trillion of advocacy for fossil fuels while spending $19 billion sort of ameliorating the real mitigation adaptation process is mitigating and adapting to um, broken promises to help stem the catastrophe for poor nations. So they're not mitigating and adapting to climate change so much as mitigating and adapting to the complaints that their insane $6 trillion leverage for the Cold War machinery ongoing is causing in terms of friction from diplomatic um, conditions among the masses. So in order to put together a better framework for these things, what we need to do is negotiate that we're not going to ignore that this happened and that the people responsible, if they go free, will nevertheless be identified for what they did. And we do have to respond rationally to the global climate emergency. A parallel can be drawn from Chomsky's arguments that you need to face the facts. We have to negotiate an end to the Ukrainian war because what good is all the death and destruction, right? So, you know, capitulating is saying we're never going to admit what happened, but surrender to our circumstances is saying we're going to have to adjust our hopes for redress and justice in light of the fact that at the moment the criminally insane control all the weapons. And when the criminally insane control all the weapons, the best you can do is register your dissent. And of course, journalists are being killed. Putin is obviously two people, a representative of kleptocratic monstrosity and a person who has figured out the weasel deal that's being offered him by Seattle left, you know, and Oliver Stone and various other people. And one of the people he's come after with the help of Sean Penn and Yoko Ono is me. You know, I was really worked over by Penis Gabriel. You know, and I'm not sure there's anything I can do about that except try to get the judge on my side about the way they've tried to target me as extermination bacon, putting poison in my mouth and so forth. I mean, I'm a cooperative person. I've lived too much hardship. I'm getting old, and it's taking a real toll on me. And these people are obviously not kidding when they say they'll kill and kill again. But rational processes are in place. People, you know, the worst has not yet befallen us, and I'm not convinced that we're dealing with Hitler suicide freaks perniciously in places of high power. I think we're dealing with that on the margins and peripheries, and that they're being um, uh, given commands to do things that are extremely eccentric and criminal. Um, and we're dealing with genocidal activities. And this is obviously criminally insane, and we have to come to grips with it. And I don't see what denying is going to do. Um, the people who let the AIDS project happen were privy enough to the COVID-19 project that they tipped me off a number of times, a number of different ways, which means there was a cooperative administrative objective that I happen to believe was leapfrog. I don't think the Russians were innocent. I don't think British were innocent. I don't think the United States was innocent. I think it was the high command oligarch leapfrog that Trumpy tune put together. You know, whether or not it would be possible to secure justice against any of the people. I mean, they should be arrested, and we should certainly be saying they should be arrested. But if they can't be arrested, we should at least work on disempowering them. That's my opinion. I mean, not that many people are aware that that's my opinion, but it's clear to the people who are what my opinion is based on. It's based on the fact that I was tortured, never given redress. I was told I was lucky because I was given a nerve agent because some black creep hates me, which is just the weird way that Seattle politics plays the spin machine. I can't do anything about it. UWDialectical beat me to their diplomas. They've been on high with faculty tenure while I was deaf washing dishes, trying to learn sign language and just barely getting by escaping their personal um, what do they call it? What do they call it? Oh, their tests, their field work. their object lessonization of the queer ball, as they would call me.